you see with that group in terms of their desire and determination at the start of this year?
And you're talking about the whole group or returning players? Well, last year at this time, we had grave concerns about our approach to the season, with expectations being high, coming off a real good year. And this year it feels different. Obviously, we ended last season in a spot we didn't want to be in. It stung everybody, and I think that stinging feeling is still in all of us. It should be in all of us. I feel like there's a more astute group right now around the rink, a little more intensity. You can feel it in the air, and I think that's a good thing. Now, we have to take that and put it into play throughout camp, and we have to be competitive in exhibition games, and we have to get prepared for the season so that we are accepting of doing things right from day one, not cutting corners, not finding or attempting to win the easy way. We got to win the hard way.
You have 3 new assistants. You've worked with Trent before, but how excited are you about just what the nuances of how the coaching staff will change and how, they weren't here last year. The 2 of them were coaching against you, so I'm sure they can give you opinions on that. But how is the coaching staff changes going to impact your team in your eyes?
Well, first of all, a 3 fresh set of eyes, and what that does is that allows just about every player in the locker room to have a fresh start. Even if you've had a tremendous year last year, you've got a new group of eyes that you have to convince, to create a first impression for. I've tried to be passive when it comes to describing what I or the old staff felt about players, what their demeanor is, how they react to certain situations. I want them to develop their own opinions. I might be wrong, and it gives or breathes fresh life into some other players. So we've done that. We've gone through how we want to play the game and brought some new ideas into the mix. So they've contributed in that way. Their presence and the way they present is something new and refreshing. So there's a lot of positives to it. There's also reassurances. The group that we've had here in the past as a coaching staff wasn't a group of dummies. We did some things well. And that group from the outside, whether it's Gully in Calgary or Trent Yanni in Anaheim, and we played against those teams a lot, they've come in and said, no, we see this. This is a strength of your team. We just got to do it right. Do it longer, do it better. So there are reassurances from those new faces as well that we are doing some things the right way.
Todd, Nuge was saying that the mood seemed intense, pretty serious off the bat, while Milan says it kind of feels like Christmas morning, there's snow on the ground outside here at Edmonton, but that must be the kind of thing you want to hear from Milan, given that he said that part of the issue for him last season was mental.
Yeah, and we're talking about an individual. Let's face it, the group wasn't good. The group as a whole, and it comes down to team. Every team in the league will have players that maybe don't meet expectations. The Stanley Cup champion this year will have that. It's what the group does as a whole. And if Milan and Nuge are saying there's an intensity around the team, I'm excited about that. As I mentioned, the sting of last year was long and drawn out because we weren't very good to begin with. We got a little bit better, and then it just stayed with us the whole season. So we've lived through that for 82 games. We lived through it through a summer. Our team has changed somewhat, but not dramatically. So the group that felt that sting gets a chance to come to training camp and establish new roots, new work ethic, and a new level of accountability amongst each other.
Point last year when you think, this is not good. You won so easily the first game, and then you say, hey, these guys got to get off the high.
Well, you analyzed it well. Like the first game was dangerous for us, and the Calgary Flames coach is now an Oiler coach, and we talked about that. We were sharp that night. We were good. We did a lot of things well, yet it came down to an empty netter by Connor to seal the game. It was the next segment, the next phase after that. We had some days off. We played some home games. Our goals against went, I think it was 5-6-5 or something like that, and the floodgates opened. That first game, although it was a great effort by our group, it probably set us up to become casual for the next few weeks, and we chased it from that point on.
If before these guys step on the ice, I would presume you want to set the tone for the season, the training camp, whatever. Is something special, different that you say to these guys in an effort to set that tone early?
Well, we'll have a meeting later tonight. This morning it's physicals and some testing and whatnot. We'll have a meeting tonight, and at that point we'll talk about, the theme there might be a little bit who are we and who are you? 2 years ago, and it's not fair to throw everybody into that boat. We've got a lot of new players, but who are we? Who do we want to be, and how do we get there? And who are you as an individual? Even if you had a great year, who are you, and what are you bringing to the table? And that starts and has started with us as a staff. We've asked those questions, and we've tried to look at how we do things, and made some changes. But it has to get into the players' minds. Which group do we want to be? And hey, Darnell's not here.
He's here.
Yep, and the old cliche, control what you can. The business aspect of the game has nothing to do with the coaching staff or anybody that's in training camp. Darnell's a hell of a player. He's a great human being. We all want him to be here, but he's also a businessman, and so is our group of management team. And they'll work things out eventually. It'll get done.
The guy, even at his age, by not signing for a while, he still misses something.
Well, I don't think you ever want to miss anything. You don't want to miss anything when you're hurt. You don't want to miss anything when you're not in camp. You don't want to miss anything when you're suspended. It can't help, but it's something that we're not going to fix right now. And when I say we, everybody else that isn't involved in it, players, coaches, that type of stuff, management, and Darnell and his group will work on things. The rest of us have a job to do.
So last year, Victoria, who is not going to be on the ice because they're Safin going to be able to skate?
Again, I'm just getting reports now of the bumps and bruises from last night's games. Those rookies from the rookie camp. It's been a taxing week. There's been a lot of skating and a lot of competition, so there are guys that are beat up a little bit. Safin has not skated yet with the group, so we'll see where he is as he goes through. And then I'll get an update on our veteran physicals when they're complete. He has a physical. We'll see where he is as far as passing that. Obviously, if he passes the physical, he's good to skate. Away we go, and we'd encourage that.
What is CPR fitting into this group at the start of this?
Jesse, I think he's an important part of our team. I think that we want to put him in a situation where he feels comfortable and confident. In my opinion, and just talking to him and some of his teammates, that's been with Stromer. And we want him to evolve into a real good player. Now, a real good player, the definition's pretty broad. Is he going to be the Patrick Laney 50-goal scorer? I don't know. But I think that his evolution and development is going the right way and will continue.
The theme of who are we and who are you? Who's Ty Ratty?
Ty Ratty is a young player that got an opportunity and he took advantage of it. He has some offensive instincts that pair well with some of our players on our team right now. He's a player that was almost at the end of opportunity, and he took advantage of it. Somebody else's bad fortune, our bad fortune, if we would have had a season that we hoped to have, maybe he wouldn't even have got that chance. But he got it, and he took advantage of it, and we expect him to continue to hold on to it.
You will start, as we open.
We will start there, yep. We'll start with that line.
I asked Luge, who takes the face-offs when you and Connor? Both left shots, not right, left.
They get to determine that, and they're both very. They're getting better in the face-off circle. Nuge made significant strides last year. Connor's getting better. It's funny how on a given night against a certain individual, one guy will be hot and one guy will be cold. They get to figure that out. They're smart players. They got pride in their numbers, and they want to play in the offensive zone. They'll make that decision.
What makes that Nuge and Connor, what makes them click? Because I know sometimes talented players don't click like that, but they obviously you found that chemistry.
Well, they think similarly. They complement each other. They have confidence. Nuge can keep up and can keep plays alive for Connor. They just have a knack right now to play efficient, smart hockey with each other. Now, we have to keep in mind that that experiment started, near the end of last year. Nuge had been injured. He missed about a month of hockey. He came back from an injury, and we played him in the center hole for 2 or 3 games so he could get his feet underneath him, and then we put him on the wing, and it worked. But the hockey was also a little different at that time, considering where we were in the standings and how teams may have been approaching us with backup goaltenders and that type of stuff. So that group has to get it. Tyratty, Nuge, Connor have to get it done when it's really tough early in the year, and we believe they can.
Where are you going to be at with the power play? Are you going to start and tinker and fool around with the preseason thing, or are you going to get right at it? We're going to see it early.
Well, we play 2 games right off the bat, Monday in Calgary and Tuesday in Vancouver, I believe. And those games are a hard, it's a tough situation to really get special teams going. We're going to play some kids. They deserve the chance to play in the games. And we'll let them play. We'll probably see lines running out in power play situations, everybody getting a chance at a penalty kill. And as camp wears on, we'll start to put units together and tend to practice with them a little bit more. Give some of our older units an opportunity at success. They have done it before. We have new eyes on it. We just spent a good chunk in the morning here again talking about it and coming up with theories and ways we want to fix it. And give some of our coaches a new kick at those groups. And to be successful, you have to have 2 units that can push each other and perform well. And we'll be looking forward to.
You kept playing them the games. When you're watching them out there, you think, this guy's 3/4 of the player. You got to keep playing him because he's not hurt enough that he can't necessarily play, but he's nowhere.
I know this year he's healthy, and that's what's important. Last year's done now. He's one that we'll have to ask that question. Who are we and who are you? He'll have to ask himself that question. And yes, you got to put the injury into that question, and he has to use it when he evaluates himself. But he's healthy now, and he's got to ask that question as if he was healthy, and what can he bring to the table?
And in Koskinen case, does he have to lose the backup job now since you signed him to the GM sign him to that 1-year contract?
No, we have to get into camp, and we have to look at our 3 or 4 goaltenders that we think can play for us, and we have to get them up and running. And just like any other positional player, we need to make decisions as we move forward. So there's no handing the keys over to any individuals. If somebody steps up and clearly outplays one or the other, then we've got some tough decisions to make, and that's what training camp's for.
You want your lineup pretty much has to be down when you go to Europe.
It would, yeah. It's tough. So in the past where we've had 8 exhibition games, I'm looking at probably a 6 exhibition game season. Basically, when we play against Calgary on that Saturday, I believe it is, as we leave, it's hard to have a whole bunch of extra bodies around because we're leaving, and so it's the 6 games prior to that become real good tryout games, and then the last exhibition games in Europe, we're not going to have a big taxi squad there. We'll have our group and play them there.
With Sekera out and Nurse not here, I mean, how do you approach the kind of back end of that blue line? What are you hoping to see to fill up the last spot or 2?
Well, we're hoping that our 2 lead dogs in Klefbom and Larson establish themselves quickly and get their feet underneath them and play at the level they can. That would make that scenario a little bit better. Then we're looking at Matt Benning taking a bit of a step forward and Chris Russell playing well. After that, there is a group of players, whether they're very youthful or some that have experience, that are going to compete for jobs in in those 5, 6, 7 holes, if you will, that are going to come from a wide variety of tryout PTO guys that have played in the league for a long time to guys that haven't even turned pro yet until they get into these camps, which is happening now with a guy like Bouchard.
Going over to Europe, preseason, starting the regular season there. Does that mean like the tempo or the evaluation process of the training camp, it has to be picked up faster?
Not necessarily. If by the time we get to the end of September, if we have real big lingering questions on who's going to play, we either haven't done a real good job of sorting things out, or the players haven't. By that time in any training camp, you have a pretty good idea that your team's coming from 25, 26 guys. And that's the situation we'll be in as we head to that last Saturday. May have to make a decision or two after that last game here against Calgary, and then take our team over.
Before Fisher got hurt, are you looking forward to saying, okay, last year was a write-off and he's going to be back
Yes.
to the old Reggie, where he's a top four guy?
Yeah, I've been told.
For you to say, okay, you could maybe had him pencil in.
I've been told by the medical people that it takes a good, healthy, strong year to recover from his knee injury. Now, you can still play, but you're probably not playing at an optimal level. And I think we saw that from Sakara. Having the summer that he was having and the training regimen that he was going through, we were excited about getting him back. And I know he was excited and his teammates were. But again, it's out of our control. It's nothing that we can change right now. And it sounds cliche, but it's opened up opportunity for other players.
It's